Hi guys, it's Emma. I'm back. Okay, so can you hear me? Can you put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me, okay? Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. Can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me okay? Yes, great. Okay, so hi guys. Thank you everybody for being here tonight. So I'm going to be talking tonight with a lady called Marisol. And she's the great aunt of baby James Chairez. I don't know if you've seen it in the news recently. Baby James was a little boy that went missing. He was from San Antonio and he disappeared between sort of January, March time this year and eventually was found, unfortunately, in not good circumstances. He was found under the trailer where he lived. And now there's more to this story, and we're going to have Marisol on in a minute. She'll be speaking to us regarding how it's all made her feel, the fact that she's tried to contact CPS various times for help for her, beloved nephew, and they just didn't seem interested, to be honest. And this case was seemingly just dismissed, sort of closed, but she'll tell you more about that. And so this has ended quite badly for everyone involved, really. But as you know, I've covered a few cases recently involving the CPS with misinformation and early case closures, general possible like corruption to do with the CPS authorities. And so, so for any of you who do not know the story about baby James and you haven't heard about it, you're tuning in tonight and you have no idea what I'm talking about, we'll just give you a very quick overview. So we're going to be talking, as I've said, to Marisol tonight. She's the great aunt of baby James, and she believes the last time that her 18-month-old great nephew James was last seen was probably around about the beginning to the middle of January. He was last seen on CCTV with his mother Delaney coming out of a pharmacy in San Antonio. That was on the 4th of January. There was apparently some photos on her phone from the 11th of January, and he hasn't been seen. There's been various stories, string of excuses as to where he is, and what reasons why she couldn't see James when she asked if she could see him. And when she pressed him for answers, she basically told Marisol that she put James up for adoption, and of course she was very upset about that. But police have not been able to to verify this, and of course they've done a search of the house. She has been arrested on suspicion of abandoning and endangering a child. They did a search of the house and apparently it wasn't in a particularly good state. They also found a blood-stained crib sheet as well, which they took off for evidence. But I don't know about, what they found on that, whether it was his DNA. I'm guessing it probably was. Weeks later, what with searches and interviews, unfortunately, the authorities in San Antonio found James's remains underneath the trailer where he lived, with his mother. And the remains were confirmed to be baby James. This has been televised. It's been on various news outlets. And there's been interviews as well, even on the Dr. Phil show. But tonight, Marisol is here to discuss with us how she feels about the situation and what's been going on with that. But first of all, I'd just like to show you a couple of little...
Crazy bread with crazy sauce. Hey. Whoa.
Hi, Emma, can you hear me?
Ah. Ah.
Take this down. Yeah, if you go back out and come back in again, Blue Moon, because we can't see your face for some reason. So I've put the link in the chat, Marisol, if you want to.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you perfectly well. We just can't see you. I'm just waiting for Marisol to come through. So yeah, so what do you think about this story? Have you watched it in the news, guys? Do you know the one that I'm talking about? Has there anybody been watching it? Hi, Bruce. I'm good, thank you. Hope you can hear me okay. Saying no sound. I've got various questions here that I'm going to go through with, here she is.
Hello.
Hello. Hello, sweetheart. Hello.
Hello.
Hi. So this is Marisol, everybody. And first of all, we'd just like to say, as a channel, we want to pass on and forwards our condolences to you all and our prayers. We can't imagine for 1 minute what you're going through, and you know, we just want to say we're sorry, and we can't begin to even consider, you know, what you're going through over there. But our prayers are with you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Appreciate everybody's prayers and thoughts.
So, okay. So we just want to know, first of all, about James, you know, just a few little things about what he liked and, you know, what food he ate, what he liked doing, what his favorite things were and his toys. Tell us about James.
James liked to eat. He was an eater. Any chance he got, he didn't care if he just ate, he's going to eat again. Just because he liked food. He was a happy little baby. Always laughing. He was smiling all the time. He loved the water. He has his puppy. He loved his dog. He's a dog now. I have him here with me. And, you know, I have videos of him with his dog. He could play with the ball, and his words were pa, 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 pa. You know, it's just, if he could eat, he's going to eat. There wasn't anybody he wouldn't smile at. I called him Mr. Sweet Mad Face because when he was born, his face was just mad. And then every time I tried to take a picture with him, he just looked mad. And I'm like, really? You never want to take a picture with me, but let the camera go down and you want to smile. So I'm like, you're my sweet mad face. You know, he was a little boy that could light up a room. That smile, that laugh that he had, and his wanting to eat. He didn't care who you were. Just give him food and he's going to be your friend.
Typical little boy.
But yeah, a lot of energy.
A lot of energy, I can imagine. It looked from the amount of photos that I saw that you were very involved in his life. You know, it wasn't just a case that you saw him, you know, once every 6 months. It looked like you were very involved in his life, like you were doing quite a lot with him on a regular basis.
I was. I mean, I was there the day he was born. I held him before his mama held him. She tried to do a vaginal delivery, but unfortunately it didn't work out. So we had an emergency C-section, and I went in there with her. I held him, and ever since that day, I continued to hold him, you know. And she lived maybe 3 minutes away from me. So anytime I needed to, I was there. Anytime she needed something, I was there. Anytime James wanted something, I was going to go buy it. I didn't care what it was. I taught her how to drive and got her license so she could be able to do the same things for him. So she could feel a little bit more efficient with him, you know. But James would see me and right away he's smiling, trying to look who's here, who's here. And he'd come to me and he's just smiling, always with that smile of his. That dimple of his was amazing.
Oh, thank you, AB. Thank you for becoming a member. That's really nice of you. So can you tell us about his mum? What kind of a mum was she to him? Was she very involved, or was she just very young and naive and she didn't really know? Or, you know, obviously we can't get that from the TV. We don't see that.
I mean, from day one, from the day that James was born, she was attentive, she was loving, she was caring. She made sure his diaper bag was full of everything and anything he needed. She didn't like for him to be barefooted. She didn't like for him to be dirty. She always wanted to make sure he had enough to eat. Anytime he was sick, she called me. Yeah, he has a cough, or he has this rash, or he fell from the from the crib. What do I do? She always questioned everything. And
Yeah.
every time I told her, I would tell her, Delaney, when things I felt like she was feeling a little overwhelmed, I would tell her, why don't you leave him with us? You know, have a little you time, clean your house, go take a nap. And she would say she didn't feel good. I would say, let me pick him up. And she's like, no, 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 it's okay. I'll have to deal with it anyway. So I let her because I had no reason to believe that anything was wrong between them. She was very attentive, very loving, very caring. Even when I told her, you know what, maybe James should stay with us for a little while, so you could get your life together. Go to school, get a job. We work at a job schedule. And she's like, no, I can't. I love him. That's my bug. I love him. I love him.
Aww.
So this was just all a surprise to me.
Yeah, it was just watching it on the news was enough. So I can't imagine living it and how you're dealing with it all and how the family is dealing with it all. What was that? I mean, so she was obviously attentive then. She was questioning what she was doing and she wanted to make sure she was doing it right, it sounds like. So on the news it was saying that the house was just a little bit grubby and there was a hole in the floor and it was all a bit kind of
not a lot. It was horrific.
Really?
It was disgusting. She was a germaphobe. She was always so clean. And when I first walked into the house and the smell, first of all, was, I mean, a smell that I have never smelled in my entire life. And to see so much trash in there was jaw dropping for me because she was such a clean freak. She didn't like him to have any kind of dirt around him. She just wanted to make sure that everything was clean so he wouldn't pick up something and put it in his mouth and get sick over it. So this made my stomach just turn and I went hysterical when I walked into that master bedroom just to see all that trash first of all. And then to see that bloody blanket.
Oh my gosh. I bet
So
that
my
was
husband's just rushing me out. Just get out, get out, get out, get out of the house now.
So did you go in with them then? Were you allowed to go?
I went in before SAPD did.
Oh, right.
I asked permission first from the detective and he said, well, it's your house, do whatever you want. I'm like, okay, but I'm asking for a well-being check. And he's like, go ahead. It's fine. Go ahead and go in there. But be cautious. He goes, because remember, she still lives there. And if she has a gun and she shoots you, that's your fault.
Gosh.
And I said, okay, that's fine. I will take that chance because I got tired of waiting for them to enter the house. So we climbed in through the window because I own the house.
Oh, did you?
That mobile home, yeah, that mobile home is mine.
Oh, so you let her live there. That's nice.
They paid the bills and I let her live there. I didn't charge her rent. So when I entered there, my husband entered first. He went and unlocked the door. I went in. I pushed him out of the way. I said, I'm just looking for the baby. That's all I wanted to know. And the scene in there was just of utter disgust.
Yeah. So how was there a hole in the floor? It's a strange question, but
she sent me a picture a few months ago, and she had said that she had stepped right there in the bathroom floor, and she fell through it. So she sent me a picture. I have a picture of her where she scraped her leg and there was a hole in the floor, but that was in the master bedroom. I'm like, okay, well, that made sense to me that the floor in the master bedroom was broke, but not the trash that followed all through there, you know? So I was like, I hope this is not the hole that she was talking about, but throughout the whole mobile home, there was no other hole. So I knew that that was what had happened. That was back in September.
Yeah. Wow.
So,
And so she was a single mom. The dad was not. Are you relative to the dad, or are you her side or his side?
I'm her side. Her mother is my sister. James's dad is in prison for killing his mother.
And his grandma.
And his grandma's in prison for felony murder of her grandson.
So it's not a good it's not good to see, is it, for her? Oh, gosh. My gosh. My gosh. Anyway, we'll move on from that. That's not particularly relevant right now. But so when did you stop seeing him then? Was it when he actually disappeared? You started noticing that he wasn't around?
Back in around the Thanksgiving Day and Thanksgiving weekend is when I last saw him on Thanksgiving Day. My brother-in-law last saw him 2 days after Thanksgiving because he had to go back out of town to work because that's what he did. He paid all her bills because I was going to sell him the mobile home. So he did that. Well, the next week after Thanksgiving was Delaney's birthday. And I text her, hey, you know, you want to come over? Whatever, it's her birthday. She said no. I text her, told her I left you your gifts outside. Don't forget. She goes, okay, thank you. I appreciate it. But that was like hours later. I didn't hear back from her for a few days. Text her again. Hey, how are y'all? Y'all okay? She said, yes. I said, hey, Christmas, we're going to do a dinner. You know, you guys come over. She didn't text me back. She texted me back later afterwards. And she's like, oh, no, sorry, we weren't feeling good. I said, oh, okay, that's fine. So then come around New Year's Eve, I said, hey, are you guys going to come over for New Year's Eve again? She goes, not this year, Tia, I'm sorry, but I think we need to spend it alone. So I was like, okay, it was really cold that day. So I'm like, I understood. It was raining. I was like, I get it. Didn't have anything to worry about because she was a good mom. You know, she was really attentive to it. So I just like, okay, you know, she's just doing her. She's doing what she always does. She pushes away from me because she's a very quiet, you know, to herself type person.
Yeah.
But she also knew that January 16th, my husband and I were getting married through church, and I wanted her to be there because James was supposed to be a part of the wedding. She didn't show up. I had to text her and ask her, and she didn't answer me, but she spoke to my sister that day. She goes, I totally forgot, Mom, that it was today. She didn't text me till 2 days afterwards. She goes, sorry, Thea, I forgot it was this weekend.
Right. Oh, gosh.
So I, of course, was upset and hurt by her. So I didn't talk to her for a few days. But then I texted her a few days later and asked her, hey, how are y'all? You need anything? Are y'all okay? She goes, we're going to quarantine because we're around somebody that may have had the virus. I said, okay, let me know if you need anything. Text her every other day. Text her. No, we're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. It wasn't till that week of the storm that, you know, I texted her about if she had power because she doesn't live very far from me. She said no. And I told her, okay, well, I'm going to go pick you up. And she said, okay. But she no longer had James with her. And that's in February. It went from January to February.
Wow. So she was seen on the 4th of January on surveillance coming out of a store. And she was caught on surveillance camera. And that's the last time. And you can see him in the pushchair. And that looks like the last time she was ever seen on surveillance with him. But then on the 11th of Jan, you found some photos of him from the 11th of January on her phone. So it looks like he was still alive with us around that time.
Right. On January 10th, she took a picture of him and it looked like he was asleep, but he was asleep where it looked like it was trash. Well, on January 11th at approximately 5:30, 5:40, he was awake and playing with his toys. Well, by 9:54, the same day of January 11th, he looked like he was asleep or no longer here because he had his eyes closed, but his fist was clenched and his hand was super swollen. And that was the last picture on her phone from Snapchat. But every other photo after that was nothing but of her from January 11th until February.
Wow. So we think it was between the 4th and the 11th then that you know, and you'd reported to CPS your concerns regarding, what was it, the house, or what were your concerns for CPS involvement?
I called CPS on February the 18th and I spoke to him and I told him, I said, look, I have not physically seen my nephew since Thanksgiving Day. My brother-in-law was there with them a few days after Thanksgiving, but neither he nor I have been able to be in contact with him. And we've asked her numerous times for contact, and she always has an excuse. My brother-in-law calls her every day, and it's always an excuse that he's asleep, he's asleep, he's asleep. He's tired of hearing the I'm asleep excuse. He goes, well, she's the mom. She can decide whatever she wants. And I mean, he's asleep. Who are we to say that? I'm like, I get that. But all I'm asking is if somebody could please go and check on my nephew. Mm-hmm. Well, she's still the mom. I said, so you're not going to do anything? And he's just like, well, I don't see what we could do. Just because she's not answering doesn't make her unfit. And I was like, okay, fine, whatever. I was upset. I hung up. Well, I still had already gone to the mobile home that night, and I had SAPD show up with me. And they too told me they couldn't do nothing about it. And I told them, well, what the hell are you doing here then? And they said, well, you called. And I'm like, but you're not going to do anything. He said, well, she texted you. She said she's fine. I said, I didn't call for her. I called for my nephew. Well, she's the mom. I'm sorry to tell you, but there's nothing we can do about it. I was like, well, then fine. I guess I just have to leave, right? He goes, she said she's going to talk to you tomorrow. I was like, okay, you know what? Fine, whatever. So I leave. Wasn't until the next day that she called me in the morning and told me, okay, I'm ready to talk to you. And I went, picked her up. We had a 23-minute conversation, and that's when she told me that she said she gave James up for adoption to a good family that she's known for 2 years. I lost it, of course. I didn't know what to think, what I was supposed to do. I was just so hurt by what she had said.
And you believed her initially. You believed what
I believed her.
Yeah,
I did, and I
doubt.
None, because I understood her reasoning behind it, and I knew she would. Now I knew she understood that if she told me why, I was gonna believe her. Okay, who her mother was and who her baby daddy is. Yeah, I was, and I told her that. I get it. I understand that, but I am still his family. You didn't even let me say goodbye. And it didn't faze her. She had no emotion towards it. And until that whole weekend, we continued to text. And she told me, please give me time to reconsider. And she even said, please believe me, he's not dead, Tia.
Why would she just say that though?
No, I told her. I told her that though. I asked her, I said, as of this point, Delaney, I have no other option but to believe that James is dead. You won't give me any proof. I've been asking you over and over, please give me proof. And she goes, please, Tia, stop. And I was like, no, I need to know. I said, Delaney, all I can think about is he's dead. I guarantee you, Tia, he's not dead. And I was just mad. I said, you know what? I'm done. I'm going to call CPS. I'm going to call the police. I'm going to make, the report. She goes, please don't do that. Sleep on it. Tomorrow's another day. I got mad. So the next day, I went to SAPD.
Yeah. And so that was the second time you contacted them. So the first time he wasn't missing as such. You still thought he was there. The second time, yeah. Okay.
And they still told me the second time that as long as she's a mother and she feels that she placed him with someone that is safe, there's nothing I could do about it because she's the mom. And unless I can prove that she's doing drugs, she's abusive or neglecting him, there's nothing I could do about it. And I said, okay, I don't know any of that unless you try to find out where my nephew is. He goes, well, she can place him wherever she wants. And I said, and I get it. I don't care about that right now. All I want you to do is to physically see my nephew. James needs to be physically seen by you and then relay the message back to me. He's fine. Shut up. Leave me alone. But she's not producing any evidence. I said, and you guys keep saying that she's the mom, she's the mom. I understand that. I said, all I want is to make sure that James is fine, and you don't want to help me. They're like, well, ma'am, I don't see this case going anywhere. She's the mom. She can decide wherever she wants. That's what made me so mad. And I was like, you know what? Forget it. I'm out. And I decided, okay, since CPS can't help me,
The police.
I'm going to go and file a missing person.
Yeah.
And
would
that's
they
what I
allow
was
you to
doing.
do that, even though you weren't the parent? Were you still allowed to do that?
Yes, because
Yeah.
I'm next of kin. So the intake officer was amazing. He took all my information and he's like, well, did you call CPS? And I'm like, yeah, and this is what they told me. And I tell him, he's like, what? Why? Because I don't have any proof of anything. He goes, did you try doing a well-being check? I said, I tried to the other day, and your police officers here told me there's nothing they could do about it. I said, all I'm trying to do is find out that if James is okay, because something doesn't make sense. I said, and it's just not right. All I want to know is, even if she won't tell me or she won't show me, I want her to show proof to somebody of authority. I said, that's all I'm asking you. I said, please, if you could just help me with that. And he's like, yes, ma'am. He goes, well, I'll make a case with CPS. He goes, but hold on, wait a minute. He put me on hold and, this, that. I had a friend that had friends that worked, had higher up with CPS. The man gets back on the phone and he's just like, oh, your case has just been moved to the SVU. I was like, wow, why? Why SVU? I'm just trying to file a missing persons. He goes, I'm not sure what happened. He goes, but I just got a call that your case just got moved.
Wow.
But he did also file a case with CPS. He goes, I'm still going to file a report with CPS because they should be doing something.
Yeah, good. And then it started to move and it started to progress. And then did this search?
Not right away.
Not right away.
No. Oh. That was on Monday. I didn't get them to do anything until Friday. And I called and called and called and called and called. Then I finally said, you know what? He said, it's my house. I can enter it whenever I want to. I did. I had no choice. I had to find James.
And is that when you found the sheet and the mess and everything else?
And they still didn't do anything about the sheet. When the police officers came in and I told them, I said, it smells disgusting in there. I don't know what the smell is. I've never smelled death, but it smells like something's dead in there. He goes, nah, don't worry about it, miss. I assure you there's nothing dead in there.
Oh, gosh.
And they left.
We've got a missing child. We've got reports of neglect. And the house smells of death and nobody cares.
No. He said, no, he goes, call your investigator, let him know. I said, I've been emailing him. I've been calling him. Nobody's listening to me. He said, well,
sorry.
Yeah, nothing. So the next day, when a friend from the vice department said, get your butt back over there and call forensics. Tell them you want a crime victim unit to come. Take the sheet. The least they could do is take the sheet and a bloody diaper.
It's the backwards and forth. It's the passing you on. I've had it where you ring one person and they say ring another person. You ring them and they pass you back to the first person. And you think, who actually cares? Who's actually going to deal with this situation? It's really frustrating. I bet it was even more so frustrating given the situation for you.
It was horrible. And even after they got the warrant to come in there, which they searched the house, they never searched under the house. I stood there for the 4 hours that they were there. Never did they search under the house. My best friend was with me the entire time.
And it's accessible. You can get underneath, can you?
It's a skirting. All you have to do is pull it apart, just like they did this last time when they found him. All they had to do was pull that skirting off. And as they finished that first time, the detective said, okay, we're all done. We got everything we need. I said, okay, are you sure? I said, you know what? Well, can I start cleaning? Because the house is of disgust. I said, and it's eating at my floors. It's going to cost me a lot of money. He's like, oh no, go ahead. We're done. We're done. We start cleaning the next day, take out bukus of trash. The next day, bukus of more trash. Get a call from another detective. The detective says, I hope you didn't start cleaning the trailer. I was like, yeah, I did. He's, you know, the main detective said, go ahead. And he said, oh no, I need you to get all that back. I'm a different type of detective. And I looked at technical sides of it. I said, really? Because they didn't take the laptop that was right by the door. They didn't go through the paperwork where I found the suicide letters. They didn't take, you know, the thumb drives. And he's like, no, I need you to get it back. Well, we couldn't get some of it back because the dumpsters had already been dumped. My husband had to dumpster dive to take out trash to take it back to the mobile home.
Oh, gosh. It's just a complete nightmare from start to finish. I don't know.
We're not even finished.
You must be a very strong woman.
Everybody says that, but I have my downfalls, you know, by myself. But it eats at me. But I'm gonna remain who I am right now and stay who I am for James, because James needs somebody to voice for him, and I'm his voice, and I'm gonna continue to be his voice, and I'm gonna make sure there's law reform. I'm gonna make sure that things change, not just, you know, it's sad because of what happened for James, but I don't want this to happen to another child or another family.
No. I wrote something down earlier on. It's just a short thing, and it's from the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. And it says that they have a central place to report child abuse. If you believe any physical harm has been caused or you believe neglect, then the CPS investigators will come to your house. They usually come unannounced, leave a card if you're not there, but they will turn up when you're not expecting it. I know it says here that they have over 174,000 calls a year regarding neglect. So they have to work out when you ring up. It's like a 5-point criteria as to whether or not you fit this criteria, as to whether they come out. So it's possible that you didn't fit this criteria.
Maybe not that. It is ridiculous because you know that I couldn't even get an Amber Alert issued here in the state of Texas because James didn't fit the criteria. What the hell do you mean he doesn't fit a criteria? He is a baby. He didn't walk off by himself. He didn't go take care of himself. He didn't drive himself somewhere. He's not hiding. He is a baby. He is an infant. How do you mean he doesn't fit the criteria? And I have been on them, and I'm going to change that. I'm going to change the way CPS does their thing, and I'm going to change things to where, you know what, I'm going to get the community involved. If there's a CPS case and we make this nonprofit organization, if CPS can't get to it, guess what? Bing us. Bing this organization. Let the public help. Let us go do that well-being check. And if we as individuals see something else is really wrong and they're not answering, then we call the authorities. But let us get involved. But you're not allowing that because there's so many freaking laws. And you're still paying us. Yes.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It says here that they're supposed to follow up on the report within 24 hours when it's a child, and usually immediately. And it says that they can take the child away into protective custody, but only if there is immediate danger, and that is very rare. And it says the investigation involves reviewing the information. They should be interviewing the parent, looking for any signs of neglect, documenting their findings, and then the CPS caseworker then conducts the report. Then they contact whoever made the report in the first place and let them know that they've been. So
I told you they didn't call me. They didn't call me the first time. You know, when they first went out there, it didn't take till when I went out there that I saw that there was a card there, and they said, this is our second attempt. Well, the first attempt, you should have called me because I made the report, and I told you, I don't care if she knows that I made the report. She knows. I can show you the messages where I told her I'm calling CPS. They're like, well, I'm sorry to tell you this, but your case has been referred to another investigator that deals with a different area of this. I was like, what? She goes, yeah.
Again, passing along, whether it's passing you along or passing the case along. It's like nobody wants to deal with anything. They're getting paid to do a job. And all this criteria, it's annoying because not every situation is the same. Not everybody's going to be a child. Some are adults. You know, some might not have anywhere to live. Some might. Some might have responsible parents. Some might not. So this 5-point criteria, it sounds, you know, very quickly, I'm a paramedic. There's no handbook that tells me when you go out to an epileptic, you do this. When you go out to a diabetic, you do this. Because if that was the case, what happens if I had a diabetic having an epileptic fit? You know, there's so many different things that can be going off at once. I can't see how they can not come straight out, how they can just determine by one phone call without.
That's what I'm talking about. The laws need to change no matter how big or small a complaint is. You know, let's say all police officers are driving around doing nothing half the time. What is it going to cost you to stop at one resident and knock at the door and say, hey, we had a call. Can we see your child? Hey, bam, here's my kid. He's fine. What's wrong with you? Go. Then let CPS work into that. But if you saw the child and the child is okay, not bruised up, not looking like it's crying or like it's filthy, and your house is okay, I get it. But you ignoring the fact that somebody's calling with a genuine concern and you feel like, you're just another Joe Blow trying to see what you can get away with, or because you do have those people that do call to get somebody they don't like in trouble. I get those calls, but every call should be taken serious, petty or not. Yeah. They all should be taken serious because this is a child, somebody that can't fend for themselves, somebody that's scared, somebody that can't voice out truth.
Yeah.
It's not fair.
Or understand what's true, what's real, and what should be happening.
Exactly.
So at what point did she get arrested then, after they'd been out?
She got arrested because, mind you, I put a missing persons report on James February 22nd. And it wasn't until March 7th that it was actually reported as a missing persons after their investigation. And I was like, I got phone calls from media and missing persons that day. And I was like, I filed this in February. Do you mean to tell me that you guys didn't file this report on February 22nd when I did it? She's like, ma'am, I don't know what you're talking about. Well, we just got heads up from SVU that this is a missing persons report. I was livid because I placed that missing person report on James on February 22nd. Here I am, March 7th, now hearing that it's a double missing persons report on the mom and the child. I was like, I knew damn well where she was. Why is she now being, a missing person? They're like, ma'am, we need to keep it together because we don't want to spook her. Too late. She spooked. She ran. She left on February the 23rd. Why did she run if she wasn't guilty? You guys are making her look like she's missing, that, oh, somebody took her and her child. No, that's not what happened. And they're like, we need to do this for now. Why? Yeah. Why? And I said, fine, I'll be quiet with it for now. And I did. So then when she was arrested and she decided to be quiet, I was like, okay, so now what? Well, we're just going to hold her for child abandonment, no return. I was like, what is that about?
Yeah.
Where's the baby? And they couldn't get nothing out of her until the day she still sticks to the adoption.
Did she not slip up and say, while she was being questioned, something along the lines of, I wasn't ready to be a mum?
That was with me. I recorded the conversation between she and I in February. The day that I picked her up, that she said she wanted to talk and tell me the truth, when she said that James was adopted, I recorded our conversation. She told me it's because I wasn't ready. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, she never mentioned that ever, that she wasn't ready to be a mom. So when then they told me again, they said, well, she said she's not ready to be a mom. Okay, then where's James? I don't care how she feels right now. Where's James?
She could have
And they're
passed
like,
him to you. She could have dropped him off at a hospital. There's so many places that she could have just gone anywhere and handed him in to a.
hmm.
And that,
I asked her over and over before, you can, let me take care of him. You can have him back when you're on the right track. My aunt said, you can give me that little sweet boy anytime. I'll take him. No, no, I can't. I love my bug. I love my bug. And, I knew she loved him. She showed every ounce of her how much she loved him. So this is just, to me, it's just mind boggling because I can't understand it and I can't comprehend it. And then after seeing where he was found and where she was living,
yeah,
it's disgusting.
yeah. Because if she loved him that much, surely she'd rather see him happy, safe, and well with someone who cares than the alternative. That must have gone through your mind a million times.
It has been, I mean, and not only that, her mom is in prison for felony murder of her grandson. The only other person that was involved in that was Delaney. Makes me wonder, did Delaney have something to do with that? And that's been crossing my mind over and over. When I questioned my sister about it, she said, I plead the fifth, don't question me about that, please.
Yeah. I think
And so,
Valerie is saying, why does the news say that the story has changed? I think it's because Delaney made different stories up as to where James was. So I think she'd said, oh, I'd put him up for adoption. And then there was the time where she said, what was it? She said,
with a family friend.
family friend. And, so there was a few different scenarios that she kind of came up and it kept changing. So I think
Well,
that's what.
she gave different families. She gave police different people that she gave them to, and they all came back like no. They A couple of them were like, I don't even know what she's talking about. They did investigate them, but yeah, she has changed her story several times.
I don't know how she thought she was going to get away with this. I really don't. I really don't.
I don't know how she can see anything.
So getting back to the CPS and their
CPS is a whole world in its own. They really are a joke. They just, I mean, maybe they're handed too many cases at one time.
yeah,
Maybe they just aren't qualified enough, or they're not compassionate enough, or driven enough. But we're losing too many kids.
yeah,
Too many kids are being lost. And it seems at the end of the day, though, that even if it falls back to officers, whatever police department, it still comes back to CPS because they're not following through with whatever procedures they have to go through.
yeah,
They like I said, they didn't even call me that they went the first time. They didn't call me they went the second time. The only reason why I knew they went was because I went to the house and I saw the card and I called the number on the card. And I was like, okay, I didn't even know you guys came. Oh yeah, we did, but I regret to inform you that this case is now moved to another investigator. I'm like, why? They're like, because they handle a different type of investigation.
unless they came round and saw something through the window that they weren't happy with, and
Nothing. They couldn't see nothing. Nothing.
right,
The
okay,
windows had window units and they were shut. This is a mobile home. You have to have a ladder to look through the windows.
oh, I see, right, okay,
So
yeah,
the only thing they can base it off is the smell, because you could
right,
smell that. I mean, like a few feet from the mobile home. That's
right.
the only thing that they can base it off.
Blue Moon's asking you, did she have any mental health issues?
Other than depression, no.
No, and I'm
None.
guessing.
I mean, I don't know. I tried to tell her all the time, she needs to get help. I even told her that last day, I was like, Delaney, you need to get help. She's like, no, I tried to get help, but it was bringing up old demons. And I just didn't want to face it. I didn't want to talk about that. I'm like, in order for you to have a future, Delaney, you have to face those old demons. You can't have a future without not facing that. I don't want to, prefer not to.
I don't know. Did she know then that you'd called CPS on her the first time? She was aware
Not
of
the
it?
first time.
No.
Well, the first time I told her, I said that you're going to make me call them. And she said, no, please don't. Tomorrow's another day. I will talk to you tomorrow, please. We'll talk tomorrow, just me and you. I was like, fine, I guess, whatever, you know. So I waited for her to text me that morning. And she did. Like she said, she texted me that she was ready to talk. But she stayed here with me during our winter storm and lied to my face that James was with a family. And every time we asked her if we could video chat, she had an excuse.
It's just terrible. So they closed the case then completely.
It's a sealed case. No, it's a sealed case.
Sealed case. So that means
that because James is a minor.
Also, they just won't talk. They won't let anybody know what's going on because of it. He's a minor and he's underage. I see.
Yeah.
Okay. What else have I got on here?
I spoke to the funeral home today, asked them about the death certificate, and they told me that the medical examiner said give them a couple of weeks, and that they would release the death certificate. And I told them, okay. And they're like, well, we need to know when. They said 2 to 3 weeks, which I kind of already knew because the homicide detective told me it wouldn't be any time before July 1st. So I won't know cause of death until July.
July. Wow. Have you got any ideas what you think might have happened, or in your head? You don't have to tell us, but.
Well, I mean, from March to my own investigations in March and April, because of course the detectives didn't want to help me. They said I could get my own search and rescue. I could do whatever I wanted. I had contacted a search and rescue, and they had mediums and psychics. And pretty much everything the mediums had said to me, all 5 mediums that I spoke to, and these were not people that knew each other, all had the same, almost all had the same story. That, of course, he was placed somewhere underneath, looked like a chain link fence, and a black bag, and that it looked like he was either poisoned or he was just held too tight. You know, one of them saw blood, and that which would explain the bloody sheet.
Yeah.
You know, so certain things that I found and certain things that I saw and some of the stuff that they told me can all lead me to believe that, and I know it's still, you know, it may be hard for people to understand that, but in my heart, I don't feel that she intentionally hurt him. I do think accident. She got scared due to her mother's history, that James's dad's history, and her involvement in both cases. That she might have been scared. I'm not trying to, you know, justify anything or try to say that she's not at fault, because she's totally at fault, and I don't want to ever see her out of jail, and I don't ever want to see her, period, in my opinion, because she just robbed me of something that
So special.
shouldn't have been robbed. Yeah. You know, James is like one of my kids, and so was she. I've been there for her since birth, and so now it's not. I'm not just mourning James. I'm still mourning her. I lost both of them, but she's still physically here, and she can't help me find these answers that she's the only one that has them.
Yeah. Well, even if she was here, do you think she'd actually give you the answers you wanted? Although you think she might, seeing as she's lied to you so many times, there's a possibility that you'd just be wasting your time anyway.
I know, but it's just because, I guess because she's my blood, and I want to believe so much in my heart that she couldn't do something so vicious. But again, I only saw her for who she wanted me to see, not for who she really was behind closed doors.
Yeah. And I mean, God knows what was going off if she was such a clean freak. For the house to be in such a disarray, she must have been fighting a lot of demons, maybe, and just because I've been through it where you're depressed and you just don't want to do anything. You don't want to clean. You don't want to wash up. You just can't be bothered. I mean, I wouldn't say I've got to the point where I've got dirty diapers all over my house and there's a hole in the floor, but you know, that kind of mentality where you just don't want to do anything. It's horrible.
It is horrible. You know, and we've all been through things in life, you know, and it's like I said, you know, before my mother passed away, I lost my son. The next year, I lost my mother. The following year, I lost another son. And then I went through a divorce the following year. And then I lost another son after that. You know, and it's just like, I would never, ever in a million years think of hurting my children. They are my world. So what she could have gone through, and anybody that's close to me can tell you that when I love somebody, I love them hard. And I'd give my last breath for anybody because that's who I am. And James just has taken so much from me, you know, and I feel like she's robbing me. And I told her in letters that I write to her, if you wanted to hurt me for whatever reason you want to hurt me, you're succeeding. You're succeeding. You're taking my every last breath. I don't understand what I did so wrong to you. I've been there for you. When you were born, your mom abandoned you. Everything. Everything.
You couldn't have done any more. You gave her, you took the baby so that she could have time to herself. You know, you helped her with the trailer. You gave her so much love and time. You
know, when her mother abandoned her for 2 years, I took her in. I took her and her siblings in, you know, and I told her, what else could I have done? Your mom may have lied to you about everything in your life, but I told you truth, and now I'm at fault. Why would you hurt me? Why would you hurt your dad like this? Why? What have we done so wrong? He supports you. He pays your bills. I do everything you ask for. You need something, we're there. What?
Did you have any boyfriends? Were there boyfriends coming in and out, or you don't think so?
Well, her ex-boyfriend and her spent 3 days together after James was no longer around.
I wonder if he's been interviewed.
He has been, apparently, but his mother's really adamant about that he may have something more to do with it than he's being said.
His own
She
mother.
went to the vigil. Yes, she went to the vigil, and she made some of the people that came from hours away feel uncomfortable because of the stuff that she kept saying. Like, I think he knows something, but he won't tell me. Maybe he's this, maybe he's that. His truck was towed away when they were together those 4 days. He won't talk to me. And I'm like, as a mother, why are you throwing this out to strangers? I said, she maybe wants him to get caught because she doesn't want to do it as a mom.
Mm.
I told the detective that. I sent him the messages from these people that were sending him. Sorry we left so early, but this lady was making me feel real uncomfortable. I don't know who her son is, but she's saying this, she's saying that. I'm like, I know exactly who you're talking about. I told her when she got there, she goes, I don't want to fight with you. I'm just here to pay my respects. I said, okay, then go ahead and go over there. She's like, no, I just need to talk to you. I said, look, I don't want to talk to you. You keep bashing my niece. We get it. She's a liar. We get it. What else can you keep telling me? I said, just pay your respects and go over there, please.
Gosh. You've been through so much. I did a little video. I think it's from your
I saw it.
Your Facebook, and it's beautiful. And I just had to get it. See if I've uploaded it because it's absolutely lovely.
I saw it. This right here was from Saturday.
Oh, it's beautiful. Let's see. I don't know if it's uploaded or not, to be honest. But I have got these.
Ah! 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 Ah!
He's an
Bless,
amazing little boy.
bless his little heart. Bless his little heart.
There he is, right
Look at that. Somebody's made that picture and it's beautiful. It really
here. My
is.
friend, yeah, my friend made it.
This is the picture of when he was last seen in January. I think it was the 4th. That's his mum there, Delaney, and he was coming out of the store. Bless him.
That was weird. The police have that car from me. They won't give it back.
What, this little car?
Yeah, they won't give it back. They said until the investigation's over.
Oh. Well, we really appreciate you coming on and talking to us. Let's see if there's any further questions that anybody's asked.
I appreciate you doing the interview.
No, you're welcome. Thank you. Is there anything else you want to talk about regarding CPS?
CPS is a joke. That's all I can say is that they're a joke. But I hope that at least this story can help another family or another family member, try to be a little bit more attentive when it comes to young moms, especially right now, because this is happening way too much and it's with young parents. And so if we could be a little bit more diligent and, aware, that would help the loss of these small children, helpless children, because they don't know any better.
Yeah.
They love who they love,
There's a question here from somebody saying that in the media, they were saying that in the neighborhood, there was gunshots and arguing. I never heard that.
The week before we had the winter storm, there was a neighbor that said that he called and said that there was a gunshot and a lot of arguing and loud music coming from her mobile home. And they reported it, but then they heard them speed off and it was gone. After I had heard that, I was like, okay, so we tried to do it. We heard it from a friend of a friend that lives there. Well, one of the meetings before they even had heard about that, they had asked about somebody with a blue car and somebody that played sports and somebody that, was tall and kind of darkish. It happens to be her ex-boyfriend that fits the description as well as the car. And this came from a medium that was not, this part of it was not even on the media.
Wow. Sometimes you wonder, don't you, like if to believe them or not, and certain things they get right, other things not so much. And yeah.
Well, I found her phone when the police didn't find it. I found the suicide letters when the police didn't find it. I found the gun when the police didn't find it. I had all her phones and her social media, all of that, and the police didn't find any of that.
Wow. So when they'd heard this gunshot, was that before he'd gone missing?
It was actually a couple of days from the day that she said she gave him up for adoption. But there was no gunshot in the house. I looked on the walls. After I had heard it, I looked through the walls. I looked everywhere. I saw no holes.
No.
As far as it would be a gunshot. But remember this, the baby's mattress from the crib was also missing from the house.
Right. Yeah. Because it would lodge in that, wouldn't it? Would it? I would have thought. Yeah. I don't know much
and
about
they finally took the crib on the second time they came and searched the house, because the crib stayed there the first time, but there was blood on the crib.
Wow. Right, I'm not going to go into detail because it's not nice for you to think about, but
they actually asked me to take a polygraph as well.
Wow, when you're the one reporting it and going to all these extreme lengths to get someone to actually listen, to take you seriously. Oh my God.
Yeah, they asked me that, and I said I will, but I said I don't see why. I'm the one that's helping you, and apparently I'm the one that's finding everything. They're like, oh, it's just for peace of mind.
Wow.
this whole case has just been draining, overwhelming, and it's just I gotta take it one by day by day.
Yeah, that's all you can do, and it's not going to be something you're going to get over in a couple of weeks or even maybe a couple of months. This is something that is going to stay with you for a very long time, but it's just learning, I guess, to make it easier to deal with. I mean, I've not been through it, so I can't even imagine trying to give you advice on it, but it's just one of those things where it's just going to take a long time, isn't it? I guess.
A lifetime, especially even though we only had him for such a short time, it's still a lifetime of memories with him, because he was a big part of our life, and it just took him away from us. Like when you take a Band-Aid off and you want to throw it away, and that's what I see what she did to us, is that she felt like he was just that Band-Aid and she threw it away and thought that nobody would care, nobody would miss it. Maybe because she felt the fact that I have a grandson, my first grandson, and she felt jealous or threatened, but never did I ever put her to a side, like that. I was always checking up on them. I was always asking how they were, always asking to pick him up. She knew what he meant to us.
Yeah.
And that's just, I don't think that's something I don't think we'll ever be able to just let it go.
No, I understand that. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And like we said before, our prayers, all of us listening, and everybody on the channel, we just want to, give you our condolences. And if there's anything you need, you've got my number. If there's anything you want to talk about in the future, then just let me know.
Definitely. We're hoping to get his remains. Hope before his birthday. His second birthday is in July. So I would like to have a big birthday celebration for him.
Oh yeah. Before we go, I have linked your Facebook, the link for the memorial. So if anybody wants to donate towards the memorial or the funeral, as small as it is, just go on to the description under this video. The link's in there, and you can go across and have a look. That would be great. Thank you. Thank you for being on. Great. Thank you. See you soon. Bye. Wow. That was interesting, and it was really nice to talk to her. She was a really nice person. She obviously had a big heart, and what she's been through and what her family have been through is something that we can sit here and talk about, but we really have absolutely no idea what she's gone through at all. Until you lose somebody in a situation like that, how can you? I did have Blue Moon on here with me before, but I couldn't even see her. There was just I could hear her, but there was just a blank screen over her face, and it wasn't working, so she ended up going. And if you want to come back in, Blue Moon, you can. If you're going to bed, that's absolutely fine. Just let me know. But I'm sorry about that. I've not forgotten you. But yeah, we're never ever going to be able to understand half of what she's going through. No, Candice, it's awful. But it was interesting because obviously when we watch the news reports, we kind of get just like the odd snippet of information. We get like a little bit of here or a little bit there. We don't always find out exactly what's been going on. So to have somebody on the channel gives you the opportunity to ask questions. And tonight we've got some really interesting information that you wouldn't have got by watching Fox News in their 30-second segment of the situation or the news report. So I appreciate you all for being here tonight. Thank you. I know I don't do lives very often. I am going to start trying to do more. I get told I should, but I'm one of those people that I prefer. I'm a big reader and I'm a big writer, pretty old school. And I just like to read and write and hide behind the camera. I just find it easier and quicker to do that. Maybe I should do a few more lives every now and again, but I'm not one of these people that can just sit here like some of them that I've seen and then like and I just think, how do you do that? Like, how do you know what to say? Like, what are you? I don't know. I just run out of things to say within like 5 minutes. You know, I'm dead chatty, but when I'm on here, it's like, oh, it's awful. Valerie says, thank you for interviewing her. She has such a light heart and beautiful soul. Just by seeing how much she loved baby James and Delaney. Yeah, Delaney, I think it is, or Delaney. And she still loves her, you know, because she's blood, even despite what we think she's done to baby James. I think she's trying to forgive her and obviously still loves her. You can't just completely cut somebody out of your heart, I guess. Can you hear my cat meowing in the background? I think it's feeding time at the zoo. Blue Moon says, thank you. Candice says, yes, you should be doing more lives. Valerie says, yes, Blue Moon, you should. And the police department. So we got a new member tonight. AB joined us for a period of time. I don't know if he's still here. He's probably gone. But he became a member, which was really nice. If anybody else here tonight is not a member and you want to join, it's only $2.99, I think, or something along those lines a month. And you can get some of the perks that we have. We have the members only chat. Come up on live and talk to me. Become a moderator if you want. There's videos that you'll get before anybody else, members only videos, things like that, little things like that. And you get the emojis and stickers that you can use when we're on lives or in the comment section. So if you haven't already subscribed, please press the subscribe button. And if you haven't liked this video, please go ahead and put a thumbs up. And then the more thumbs up we get, the more people watch it. It gets put out so everybody can see. So thank you again, everybody, for watching. And I will, like I normally say, I'll be back with you again soon. So I'm going to leave you with oh, bless him. That's his mummy. And that's when they were seen on the 4th. And then you've seen these photos. I only uploaded a few because I knew we were going to be talking. There's a special angel in heaven that is part of me. It is not where I wanted him to, but where God wanted him to be. He was here, but just a moment, like a night-time shooting star. And though he is in heaven, he isn't very far. He touched the heart of many like only an angel can do. So I send this special message up to heaven up above. Please take care of my angel and send him all my love. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for being here tonight. I really appreciate it. And I will talk to you soon. Thanks, guys. Bye. Bye. Take care.